Okay guys, we have chapter 173 and I'm just gonna say right now, things start off pretty standard, following the webcomic pretty closely, but then things just take a complete left turn and we get some insane reveals in this chapter. But before we get into it, as you guys can see, I'm probably the first YouTuber that you're seeing right now that has a review up for this chapter, and I'm honestly probably one of the first YouTubers to get a One Punch Man chapter review out every single time a chapter is released. So you definitely want to be subscribed with notifications on, because on top of that, I also pump out One Punch Man content multiple times a week. So again, you definitely want to be subscribed with notifications on so you can get updates on new chapters as soon as they're released and get some fun One Punch Man content on your YouTube feed on a consistent basis. But okay, let's get into this insane chapter. So as I said, things start off pretty standard following the webcomic as we follow up in the Hero Association after Saitama had destroyed all those battle robots that Metal Knight had created. Metal Knight is watching the footage of all his robots being destroyed and notices that Saitama was there. So this kind of piques his interest and he starts digging deeper into Saitama and his kind of origins or backstory, I guess. And he notices that he's steadily been rising through the ranks, going from, C rank 65 to B rank 43 to B ranked 1 and now in the A class. And he kind of acknowledges that he doesn't seem like anyone particularly special. And he also notices that he aided in the Monster Association battle. So he doesn't really see him as much of a threat right now, but he then decides to keep an eye on him in the off chance that he can challenge him. So again, this is pretty standard. This was in the webcomic and this is something that we kind of figured to see, but where the real saucy things start to happen is in the next couple panels where we switch over to the Hero Association, where we see Sitch meeting with a few S-class heroes, that being Genos, Flashy Flash, Zombie Man, and Amai Mask. And what I'm assuming is happening here is kind of like a debriefing scenario where they basically give all the information they obtained while fighting the Monster Association and kind of share this intel with one another. Well, of course, Genos pulls up with his stack of papers and data, ready to give a 5-6 hour long debriefing report. But they actually get started with Zombie Man, who brings up the scenario where he was about to take out Homeless Emperor, and Homeless Emperor had told him that he was given his powers by God, and in that instant, he basically deteriorated and turned into salt or dust, in his own words. And the thing that stuck with him was that he said that he was given his powers to him by God, and this surprises everybody in the room. And Zombie Man kind of elaborates on the whole situation, explaining that, something inexplicable happened. He basically deteriorated as soon as he revealed that. And Flashy Flash kind of elaborates on this whole situation because, as we remember, he was with Saitama in Monaco when they came into contact with the God Cube, and God had reached out to them too, explaining that he will give them power, and if they are not worthy, then he will confiscate that power. And Flashy Flash pretty much brings up this point that what had happened was probably confiscation, and that he believes what Zombie Man's saying because he kind of experienced a similar thing. So, these two scenarios that happen kind of add up. Well, again, we don't have English translations right now, so I don't have the exact details of what is being said, but what I'm assuming is that maybe Amai Mask isn't really buying it, but this is when Sitch comes in and reveals that this is something that has happened before. And it's actually something that Blast has been dealing with. So here's the big reveal that Sitch knows what Blast is doing and what he's been up to the past couple years that he's been gone. And he starts kind of going into a flashback that a few years ago, Saitama had a partner, and this is when we see their backs. So we obviously know what Blast looks like now, but there's this mysterious ninja or swordsman looking guy with a ponytail and 2 swords on his back that were investigating these cubes in the past. And then what's even more insane than that, we get taken to the time a few years back where Blast actually fought Elder Centipede and defeated him, because we got to remember that when Elder Centipede first popped up, Sitch mentioned that Blast had defeated him a few years prior, and Elder Centipede obviously acknowledged who Blast was. So this is actually going back to that time where he had defeated him. And what's pretty insane about this is that we see that God is in the sky in the same way that he was for Garo during his fight with Saitama. So God must have come into some contact with Blast and maybe offered him the same type of power, or just straight up showed up to fight him, because we see that in the next panel, Blast is all beaten down and scarred up, and this is when I'm assuming he received that long scar on his face that we see him have now. And Sitch pretty much explains that after that he basically disappeared, and that the whole event with Elder Centipede was kind of manipulated or covered up to kind of omit the fact that God had appeared at some point. So of course the S-Class heroes are a little bit stunned by this, and this is when Genos takes the opportunity to reveal that he has his core from his past self, and that it recorded all this data about basically this alternate universe that had happened, or this alternate timeline that had occurred. And again, I don't have English translations here, so I did my best to kind of get whatever information I could from this chapter using a translator, but after Genos kind of makes his case here, it looks like everybody in the room is either exhausted or not believing what he's saying, because it also seems like Genos has been explaining what happened in detail for a very long time. So what might be happening in the next couple panels here is maybe they're explaining how, they possibly don't believe him, or that there are some inconsistencies in what he's saying. But regardless, they basically leave off on the fact that they need to keep a lookout for any other strange instances, because these occurrences from God have been coming more and more frequently. So Genos leaves, and then Zombie Man starts thinking about Saitama and what Dr. Genus said about him removing his limiter. And on top of that, Flashy Flash also thinks of Saitama and probably considers him an equal at this point as well. And aside from that, Amai Mask is riding in his car after he had left the meeting early, and he's looking at a picture of Saitama. And if you guys have read the webcomic, you kind of know what's going to happen from here on out. Everyone kind of just goes on their little training arc or their own little mini arc, and it seems like Saitama is definitely the center of attention at this point. So who knows, maybe we have a ton more S-Class heroes that are now familiar with the power that Saitama has, which is always great because it's about damn time, right? But once I get the English translations for this chapter, I am going to make another video recapping it once again with a lot more detail, of course. But until then, what did you guys think about this chapter? What do you think about the potential reveal of, Blast and then one of his former partners in this one? And what do you guys think about, the situation in which he actually met God for the first time? I mean, this is really, really big stuff, guys. So I'm definitely curious to see what you guys think in the comments. So please make sure to comment below. And if you guys enjoyed this video, please make sure to like and subscribe, because I will be coming, like I said, with that chapter review later in the day when the English translations come out. So you definitely don't want to miss on that. But that's it for now, guys. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you guys in the next video.